Yes, indeed. All right, man, let's be honest. Let's have I try to be honest when I'm on, just in general. But let's be honest about this. In about an hour and a half, Indiana Fever will be playing Chicago Sky. Caitlin Clark has been the biggest news story since she came into the league. And I'm getting ready to share why, and why there's a lot of people defending her, including myself even. And this may not be the base why, but there's a lot of people who I think it's fascinating that any one of my Caitlin Clark videos gets me the highest amount of views and more subs. So of course I'm going to keep talking about Caitlin Clark, but that's not the only thing I talk about. But let's just be honest. Let's just be honest about this and not be ashamed about it and call it what it is, all right? I was thinking about this last night. I did a video last night, and I've read a lot of the comments on that video. Shouts to everybody who's liked to subscribe to the channel and responded to that video. But as I was reading a lot of the comments, and I try to interact with almost every comment that comes in, right? Every comment. Even if I don't necessarily agree with it, I'm still going to interact with it and acknowledge that I read your comment and so forth. You know what I realized about Caitlin Clark? This is what I honestly realized. And I realized that why people are so enamored with her. There's a reason why. Here's the reason why people are so enamored with Caitlin Clark. And you got to understand the cultural context that we live in, right? This is 2024. It's an election year, all right? The last time we had an election year, presidential election, was 2020, all right? Now, 2020 was one of the most tumultuous years in American history. We had COVID. Well, first, the year starts off with President Trump being impeached, right? He gets impeached, right? That's in the year comes in like that. Then around February rolls around. Then you get COVID, right? COVID happens. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the same year. I think you get Kobe Bryant dying. If I'm not mistaken, was it 2020? Kobe Bryant dies. Then you get COVID coming around. And so now, for the first time in our history, in my lifetime, we're shut in. We can't go anywhere, right? And then you get all of the racial explosion with the deaths of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, in that order. You get all this stuff happening. You get all this, hubbub about should we get the jab and should we not and should we? All this is 2020 and elections going on, and then and it's just chaos. The country is being torn apart by all these different things, right? Everyone's looking for something to be unified by, and you can't get unified. You can't be unified by any candidates because you don't trust any of them. If you're doubling down on your party, and that's it. This is all happening in 2020, and then we have an election, and Trump and them saying the election was stolen. It was just a year of uncertainty. 2020 was. We haven't had a presidential election year since then. Now it's 2024, and in some senses, there's similar circumstances going on. Now, we're not afraid of COVID as much, right? Like we just heard that Kennedy Carter, I think the best offensive player for the Chicago Sky, is not playing tonight against Caitlin. So I think Caitlin Clark and them, if they lose, it would be wild because Kennedy Carter is too important to their offense to lose to them. But sometimes, Christy Sides and they be making some crazy coaching decisions and they be up 25 and be down 1 in the third quarter. That's a whole different conversation. But this is 2024. Apart from COVID being what it was back then, you say you got COVID now, nobody cares. You say you had COVID in 2020, people are in sackcloth and ashes for you, straight Old Testament with it. Like just, sacrificing animals for you so that you don't get, you don't die, right? Now you get COVID. So COVID's not that big of a deal, but we got a presidential election. Now, let's be honest, right? You got Trump who basically has flipped the script on his fan base. The conservative, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. The conservative Christians who think abortion, all these things are the big issues, marriage, Trump is just backing down. What he just said in Florida yesterday, and I've been watching, that's a whole separate video. But you got Trump, you got politics. Let's be clear. Everyone who's on the left is saying, oh, Kamala. But let's just be clear. If it was not for America not being fooled again by that debate between him where it was clear that Joe Biden didn't even know what time it was, they would have tried to put him as president again. So Kamala Harris is not like the savior of the left. She is the filler for them because America was like, ain't no way. And when the Democrats heard, hey, the jig is up, he can't run, he has to step down, then she comes in. So we're not buying it. We're doomed politically, right? You got that going on. You got the economy. Everyone's posting their grocery prices are $800 more. Listen, fam, I was in California with my sons for 6 weeks. We went to the IHOP in Oakland. All right. I go to the IHOP with my boys. IHOP and Outback, two of our favorite restaurants. Well, they're my favorite. And then my sons developed a taste for them after years of going there with their dad. We went there. When I go here, I live in D.C. area, in Maryland, right outside of D.C. When we go to IHOP here, we order the same thing. We're one of them people I ain't one of them people that need a menu. If I go to a place, I order the same thing every time. I know how. They be like, oh, wow, sir, I'm an aficionado here. I don't need no menu. I know what I'm getting. I know, because if I'm going to spend money, I know I want it to be good. I don't care if I've eaten it 100 times. I know it's good. I spend maybe $60 at IHOP and where I live with a tip. We went to Oakland. We got the same thing, except two of my sons got milkshakes. The bill came back in. I looked at it. Wasn't wearing my glasses. I need glasses for close up. But I had to zoom in. I had to ask the Lord to help me see in the spirit as I'm looking at this receipt. The same food that me and my sons ordered that doesn't cost more than $60 with a tip was $145 in California at Oakland. If I wasn't a believer and I was someone else, I'd have posted up at Gavin Newsom's house right after that. I'd have drove down there and found it. It was $145. I had to look at this thing like, what? And then here was the wild part. Underneath each of the items, they gave me a 10% military discount. I'm not even in the military. I was like, so this would have been more if you had to give me it was $145. Listen, people are spending tons of money on groceries. We're upset about the economy. Gas prices go up and down. You have no confidence in the political structure. You got wars going on over here. You don't know if you say something about Palestine, the Israelis get mad. If you say something about the Israelis, the Palestinians get mad. We don't even know. We're giving billions of dollars to Ukraine and we can't even afford groceries. You got all this stuff happening right now in America. You still got the residue of racial unrest that has never really been resolved in certain regards. All this happening. People just want an escape. And guess what happens? This lily white girl from Iowa is just shooting the lights out. And for 40 minutes of a game in college, we just forget how messed up the country is, right? We just forget for a minute. We're just enjoying someone shoot in a way that we didn't think a woman would shoot. We're just enjoying it. And then she goes to the WNBA. And it's like, you know what? We're following the train. It's not a racial thing. It's not that black men are choosing to all this stuff. I can't speak for all of the, they said Kennedy, they got the worst, and Indiana Fever got the nastiest fans. And there was 10-year-old girls in the crowd. They're nasty fans. Like, the reason why there's such a pushback against the race and all this stuff and against all of this is because you know what Caitlin Clark is? Let me solve the puzzle. I would like to solve the puzzle. Caitlin Clark, for many of us, is just an escape from the foolishness we see everywhere else. You go on Twitter or X, and it's just foolishness up and down your feed. You go on Facebook, and it's just foolishness up and down your feed. You can't watch nothing that's not biased. Everything is just, no one wants to say, you're terrible and you're terrible. Now, I'll say it, but most people don't want to do it. They're too afraid. And so here we are. The most unsung, Caitlin Clark, for many of us, is an unsung hero. You know, she's distracting us from all this stuff that's just like terrible in our culture. Do you realize that this is right now, this very moment, this is the freest America has ever been. All right. There's no slavery. There's no oppression against women. There's no systemic racism. All these things they said are done. They're gone. They're done away with. This is the freest America's ever been, right? And yet this is some of the most tumultuous time we've ever experienced. Like right now, like I love America. I love my country. I'm going to always stand for my country. I'm going to stand at the Pledge of Allegiance or whatever it is. I'm going to stand at the national anthem. When I go to the Commanders game, you know what I'm saying? Season tickets. When I go to the Commanders game on September 15th, Lord willing that he allows me to still breathe and be alive then, I'm going to stand at the national anthem. I understand that it has some racism in it, like the third or fourth stanza, but I'm standing at the national anthem. Hand on my chest, I'm going to sing and sit down and lose my voice, yelling for the team. I'm going to do that. And I'm a pastor. That's after preaching at church on Sunday. Ain't no sin there. Ain't no sin there. I love my country, but it's a terrible time. There's so much uncertainty, and it hasn't gone away since 2020. And it's not just because of Joe Biden. He's part of it for sure. But it's Trump too. It's just, you can't. And so Caitlin Clark has become the unsung hero. For a little bit of time, for 4 quarters, we get to watch somebody play basketball that just entertains us. It just has fun. She's not political. She's not racial. She's white. She's skin color. You know what? I'm actually glad. And I know beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I'm no striking looking dude. I do photography. You go to Kirk Kennedy at Instagram, you'll see me. I'm all right with it. I'm all right with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm all right with it. I'm no good looking dude. But I'm glad she's not attractive to me. I'm glad she's not. I'm glad. I don't know what Sonny Hostin was talking about, pretty privilege. What are you talking about? We like her because she's balling. But you know what? Not only because she's balling, she just lets us for a little bit of time forget about all the stuff that's just wild in the world. I'm not worried about the grocery bill. I might even go get a bowl of cereal and eat that, knowing that cereal is $3 more than what it should be. What Caitlin Clark is doing, and this is why she's the most popular athlete in probably the world right now, definitely in America. She's more popular. Now, granted, they're not competing with other sports right now, so that does help. But she's the most, you know why? Her jersey's selling out? Because she represents just a distraction. And for some people, maybe even just some hope. Here's the girl who, they were 1-8. They were underdogs. Everyone was dogging them. Ain't nobody had no problem saying nothing about them and no press conferences after that. But when they start winning, now can't nobody say nothing. Teresa Witherspoon, earlier today, they asked her a question about Caitlin Clark. This is the head coach of the Chicago Sky, a former WNBA legend. Basketball aficionado, got up and walked away. You can't even answer questions about Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark. See, when we see stuff like that, the complaining of, it's about race and this and that, it ain't that black men are like somehow got a white girl fetish. It's just that we're tired of all of it. And I'm a believer. I don't got my hope isn't in the economy and the presidency and the Congress and nothing. But even as a Christian, even as a believer, I'm allowed to enjoy things. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, so whatever you do, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. So I want to watch, I want to entertain, I want to be, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't no sin there. My hope is in Jesus, however, but I can be entertained by other things. It's cool to be distracted. Caitlin Clark is a wonderful distraction to all the other stuff that's just wild right now. That's why people are like, man, don't bring the wildness over here. Stop talking about race. We've been hearing about race for the longest time. I get it. As a black man, I get it. Some of this stuff is true. Some of it's just not. Some of it's not. Some of it's not. It's just not true. Some of it is true. But we're just tired, man. We're just tired. We just want to see something that has nothing to do with race, politics, healthcare, immigration, sexuality. We just want to watch something pure for a minute. And that's what she gives us. Caitlin Clark just lets us just, for a minute, just be pure. Just be pure in a societal sense. We're not worried about this and we're not worried about that. Now, there are people who think opposite. I'm talking about those of us who enjoy Caitlin Clark, who enjoy Indiana Fever. This isn't about, we're pining for the white woman, or we're doing this, or we're doing that, or we're disrespectful. I think Angel Wilson is a dog, too. I think there's a lot of people that can ball. I'm sorry that I didn't hear about them as much until I heard from Caitlin Clark. Like, hey, it is what it is. A lot of y'all didn't hear about me until I mentioned Caitlin Clark. I ain't mad. Thanks for subscribing. I just think, man, the Caitlin Clark puzzle is it? Yeah, she's entertaining. In America thrives off of being entertained. We are the amusement capital of the world. Yes, there are other places that do amusement, but there's nothing like Hollywood. There's nothing like the music industry in America. We set the trend. We are the entertainment. We are amusing ourselves to death. We love entertainment. We love to be amused. And so right now, for the last 2 months, and particularly in the last month, it's because, listen, we try to be entertained by sports, and then we watch the Olympics, and then the Olympics has trans men looking like they're mocking the Last Supper. Like, for what? We just wanted to watch people jump through hoops and school. Why are we doing this? Even that just has politics and sexual. We just want to, there's these YouTube videos. I think it's an Indian dude. He'd be trolling, but he'd be like, hey, man, he'd be going to these neighborhoods. Would be these black dudes, right? And he'd be like, hey, man, can I hoop? And they're like, nah, man, go ahead, man. We trying to play right now. Look, man, I just want to hoop. And then eventually he'll steal the ball, right? And he'll start dribbling. And so a dude will come up on him and play D, and he's actually pretty good. And so he was like, and he got on like Indian clothes, and he was like, Zaza, crossed him over, went past the dude, and scored a layup. And everybody was like, oh, and the dude tried to swing on him. And it's a funny, when you watch it, it's funny. He was like, I just want to hoop. You know what it is? He's speaking for a lot of us. Let us just watch hoops, man. Let us just watch hoops. We couldn't enjoy the women of the Olympics because it's too much power. Let us just watch hoops. The NBA is over. Let us watch hoops. I mean, it was a great moment. Steph Curry gave us a great moment, man. He gave us a great moment in the Olympics. That championship game against against France. Oh, man. Steph Curry gave us a great moment. Guess what? We're watching a female Steph Curry. For many of us, that's how we feel. That's the Caitlin Clark puzzle, man. This is why people are like, hey, what? This is why, man. She helps us for a few moments not think about all the dumb stuff that's happening in our country right now. Because as soon as the game over, it's back to what Trump said, what Kamala said, what this person said, gas prices, economy, this, that, healthcare, this, that. That stuff doesn't change. These companies, man, listen, that's a whole nother conversation. So the game's going to start at 7:30. I'm going to be watching, and I'll probably have something to say afterwards. Appreciate y'all. Talk to you then. Stay tuned. Come back here to Kurt's Corner after the game. We're going live. We're going to talk about it. 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Chicago Sky, Indiana Fever, Caitlin versus Angel Reese. Let's get it.